Hey guys, Jexy here. Welcome back to another video. In this video, I thought we'd talk a little bit about the idea of making amends, what that means, how's the best way to do it, and when we should do that in our recovery. So, what do we mean by making amends? Well, making amends is apologizing essentially for our actions, especially during our active addiction. And we do need to make amends in recovery as well. So, I thought I would kind of break it down into a few different segments, so to say. So, their 12-step programs have their own concept of making amends. They break it up into two. There's the amends we need to make for past behaviors, things that we did that were during our active addiction that we need to make amends for now that we're clean. And then there's also like regular everyday amends, things that are maybe smaller or bigger that happen while you're clean. And they talk about those as being addressed in two different ways. So on my perspective is not necessarily just an 12-step program perspective. I'm just giving you my experience and what I've seen and what I've experienced and what I've seen other people experience. So I'm not really representing the 12-step program's way of making amends, but it does play a part because that's the program I use. It does play a part into the way I view things. So just letting you know that. So I think that when it comes to, let's say, daily amends, we'll start there. We'll start the easier things, the things that happen on a day-to-day. Maybe you had an argument with a friend on the phone. Maybe you cut somebody off on the road while you're driving. The things that could happen throughout the day. Those amends, in my experience, are best to make as soon as you can. But I've also seen that they have to be made when you mean it. So let's say you get in a fight with a friend and you're still mad the next day. That's probably not the time to make the amends, right? Because if your feelings are still that the way you behaved is justified, you're not going to genuinely feel sorry. You're not going to genuinely want to work on yourself to make something better, right? We're still harboring those negative feelings. I also think that it's important when it comes to the concept of amends that we remember that what we're apologizing for, what we're owning, is our own part in a situation, not somebody else's. So let's say we'll use the argument with a friend on a phone. Let's say they said something hurtful and you responded back in a negative way. You don't have to apologize for feeling hurt. That's a normal response to a situation, right? Like if my feelings are hurt, they're hurt, right? There's nothing to feel badly about being hurt, right? Like that's just our reaction to something, so that's okay. But if I reacted in a strong way where I tell somebody, to F off, or I tell them, I say something hurtful back to make them feel hurt too, that's the part that I would make the amends for, my reactions. Because those are things that I can work on. I don't have to make somebody hurt if I'm hurting. Although sometimes that, I know, especially as addicts, that's our first reaction, right? You hurt me, I'm going to hurt you back. You screwed me over, I'm going to screw you over worse. That's a normal feeling for people, addicts, regular people, anybody, right? What we've learned in recovery is that we don't need to do that, right? If my feelings are hurt, I can say to the person, wow, that hurt. You saying that to me really hurt me. I don't think that that's okay. We can share how we feel without being hurtful back. Our reactions, our actions don't have to be reactions to other people. So the best way to make amends is by acknowledging what we've done wrong, immediately accepting our role in something, and sincerely apologizing. Not just saying I have kids, right? So a lot of times my kids will do something and I'll be like, are you kidding? And they'll be like, sorry. And that's not an apology, right? The words are there, but the meaning is not. So it doesn't matter. You can say whatever you want, right? But saying the words, I'm sorry, and not meaning them, you know that. I know they don't mean it. They're just annoyed they got in trouble, right? Or they got annoyed or mad that they got something taken away. It doesn't mean they're actually sorry. So teaching, I teach my kids the same way. We have to mean what we say, and we don't have to apologize for other people's behavior, but our own. So the second part of the amends is the idea of making things up and apologizing for bad past behavior. Now, we all, as addicts, can probably come up with a whole list of people that we've hurt, actions we've taken that we wish we didn't. A lot of us have done some pretty unkindly things to further our addiction. So those amends are different. And usually making those amends is a better idea to have other people's suggestions before tackling them. I know a lot of people when they get in early recovery, you get 30, 60, 90 days clean, like you're very early in recovery, and you want to tell your family that you're sorry. You want to tell your spouse, your significant other, your children, that you're sorry for your behavior. And they don't seem to accept it. And that hurts, right? We're like, but we're making big changes. We're doing so good. Don't they see? We have 60 days. We have 90 days. We're really doing something different. It's important to remember from our family's eyes, so what? So you've been doing okay for 2 months? That doesn't make up for the fact that for the last 10 years, you've been absolutely out of your mind, right? We can only see our part. So when it comes to the amends idea, it's important to kind of step outside ourselves and see how our actions and behaviors have affected other people. Have our parents been sitting up at night for years wondering if we were going to come home alive? Has our kids missed out on stuff because we were too busy going to try to find drugs to take them to the birthday parties, right? There's a whole bunch of things that we may have done that we didn't even think were big deals, but that were life-changing for the people around us. Understanding the type of impact our actions have had can make a really big difference in our ability to make amends to those people. Just saying you're sorry, even if you mean it, isn't going to do much to make a change because you haven't been clean enough for long enough for that to really matter. They're still worried, right? Our loved ones, when we're in early recovery, they're still worried that this is just a temporary thing, that we're going to go back out to using and everything's going to go back to how it was. They're holding on for hope, right? They want to see us do good. They want to see us succeed, but they're not ready to let go of the worry. So I think that amends are best made in situations like that. One, by sticking with recovery. Sticking in a recovery program and staying clean is the best way to make amends for bad behavior using. You know why? Because you're not going to repeat those behaviors. If we can make certain that we're not going to repeat same past bad mistakes, that's a big way to start making amends. The other way is wait till you sincerely can understand how your actions made somebody else feel, right? And then when you apologize, you can mean it in a heartfelt way. When your family starts to understand that you're in recovery for the long haul, maybe that's the time to consider making amends. Don't be sad if they don't accept it, right? Making amends is for us. It's for us to know that we've acknowledged our wrongdoing. We don't have to be forgiven. That's important to understand. Whether it's on a regular daily amends apologizing to a friend, or whether it's for something bigger, just because we're sorry doesn't mean we have to be forgiven. And that can be a tough thing to understand. We want to be forgiven, we want to be able to move forward. But just because we feel we're owed forgiveness doesn't mean we're going to get it. And that's something we have to accept. The final part of making amends is, what do we do if we can't make amends to people? For example, the person I cut off on the road, I can't make amends to them. I don't know who they are, right? But what I can do is I can work on driving better in the future. I can make sure that I don't cut people off and that I let people in when they need to get over. That's how I make amends in practice. Sometimes we have family members that we wish we could make amends to, but that aren't with us anymore. What do? Well, we live right in their honor, right? We do. If we stole from people, if we stole from, let's say, a relative who's passed away, well, we can't give them back the money, right? But maybe if they had the money, what would they have done with it? Would they have given it to a different relative? Maybe then you can make financial amends to that person. Maybe you can donate money to a charity in their name. There's 100 ways to make amends to people who aren't around anymore. What's important is the want, and not just I want to do it so I can wash my hands of it because then I can feel like I did it, but the really wanting to be a better person, wanting to help people, wanting to really move into a new way of living a better life of honesty where we're not hurting people anymore. Just because we're clean doesn't mean we're not going to hurt people. That's what's important about the amends idea, is that we're constantly on guard to make sure that we're not causing hurt. And that if we do cause hurt, that we recognize it immediately and we do what we can to make it right. So I'm really excited to talk to you guys about different topics in recovery. I know the amends topic is something that we can probably talk for hours about, and people have a lot of experience on it. I'd really like to hear what your thoughts are in the comments. If you haven't subscribed yet to my channel, please do. It's really a great way for me to make sure that you guys are getting all the videos that I make. Feel free to share them, like them, all that other good stuff. And I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and I look forward to chatting with you guys on Tuesday. Have a great weekend, guys.